Hey people, Frank's the man here. This video is in response to a comment I made to weatheralmaplefarms, I believe. He's building, he did build a four-wheel drive John Deere, and he made a set of mufflers, and I asked him for his design, and I'll give him my design, kind of a deal. But the only thing I had to show my design that I have built already was the mufflers on my Jeep. My Jeep's an 84 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I built a dual exhaust for this thing. I made the mufflers out of angle iron, 1/8" angle iron with steel plates on inside for the baffling. I had to make it extra rugged because the winters here are pretty bad and it just beats the hell out of the vehicles. Well, anyway, I'll show you my Jeep first before I start it up. Let's hear how they sound and take it from there. Old Jeep, it's all rusty. I'll show you what it eats. I call it Monster. Motor is AMC 360. A lot of parts I made on here myself. This is a distributor I made. This is not a DUI. I made the distributor out of a Chevy 350 top that I welded to the part that fits down into the motor. I'll show you the weld, just so you know I did it myself. I chose a Chevy 350 because of the one-wire hookup, and there's a lot of technology out there for the Chevy 350 distributors that I can modify this setup with. Actually, I did with Hypertech high energy ignition. I bought this just for the sticker that goes on the cap. High flow water pump I built at work. That's what I do. High output alternator, that's a 120 amp alternator. Another part I made is a transmission cooler. I had to make this because the aluminum radiator that I have in it came out of a Ford Bronco with a manual transmission, and its radiator does not have a trans cooler in it, but this is an automatic, so I had to make the cooler. Basically, the cooler's out of a plastic GM tank. I pulled out the trans coolers and I brazed them in this box that I made. There's actually two coolers in here. This is one set and this is the other set. You can see how it goes through. Cylinder heads I ported myself. I gave this thing a stage 2 cylinder port job. Gasket matched it to the intake. This engine moves a lot of air, which brings me to the exhaust. I had to come up with a free-flowing exhaust muffler because the back pressure kept blowing the pipes off the exhaust manifolds on the motor. Quadrajet carburetor, 4-barrel. Booster brake setup I made at work. I actually had to go smaller because the 11-inch dual booster that was in here was too touchy. I would actually lock up the rear brakes too often in a panic, so I switched to a smaller booster to make it more harder to push the brake, and it helps a little bit. They're still easy to push. The wiring, I pretty much started from the battery, rewired the whole vehicle, which brings me to the inside. I had to make the fuse boxes since I did the wiring all myself. I keep them covered up because somebody actually stole the original ones I made. This is for the keyed ignition, and this is constant power. kill switch. Don't tell anybody. 4-wheel drive linkage for winter time. I made all that myself. This vehicle originally had the vacuum actuated 4-wheel drive system in it, the quadra-track system, I believe you call it, and it all froze up, so I just ripped it all out and put regular linkage in, and I made all of this. These are the locks. Made the locks myself. This works the front axle. Right now the axle locked up. I gotta fix the front axle. At the end of the winter time, one of the shafts locked up. I gotta get out and free up the axle. I rebuilt the column, put T-handle on there, redid the dash. This is actually that stone spray paint from Home Depot. And I put this center section in here. This used to be where the glove box was. I took it out. I was supposed to put a radio in it. It goes right here. I never got around to it. That was part of my wiring. A lot of unfinished work here. Just can't seem to finish it. Anyways, I'll show you the exhaust. I had to make the exhaust heavy duty because it just was rusting out every year. I would buy a whole new exhaust and it would rust out. I got a cherry bomb. It's about the longest one you could buy, I guess. The piping coming off the motor is pretty much just fence posts. I use fence posts because it's twice as thick as regular exhaust pipe. It lasts a little longer, and it even has the zinc coating on there, but it usually fries off the first year. As you can see, the whole pipe's all rusty. And then the mufflers, these mufflers I made. This is what the video request was about. I made them out of angle iron, 2 pieces of angle iron butted together. The only sheet metal I used was to cap the top and cap the bottom, and it's a 3-chamber design. 1 chamber, 2 chamber, 3 chamber, and tailpipe. I made this design to where you could have the inlet anywhere in the front, anywhere in the back, and this muffler is repairable since the metal is so thick. All I have to do is just cut it off, grind it down smooth, and weld a new part onto it, which is what I actually did to get these mufflers on this Jeep. I originally made these mufflers for 91 Cutlass Supreme. The wife didn't like how they sounded, so I took them off, threw them in the basement for a couple years, and I needed an exhaust for this thing last year, and I put them on here. As you can see, these things are rusting out too. That's how bad the winter is. I did clean them up before I put them on here. You can see a layer of the metal flaking off. It's a hold down clamp. It's metal, but you really don't hear it. The bolts are pretty tight, so it's not going to rattle. And you can see it, they pretty much swing free. They're just sitting in here. The only thing holding the muffler and the cherry bomb in place is this strap here. I have them where they just slide right onto this pipe right here. This is the connection, and there's no clamp. That way, if I want to, I could just unbolt the strap and slide the whole muffler off, and I could run straight pipe. driver. As you can see, it is legal. I drive this thing every day to work and home. And there's the other side. I'll start it up, let you hear how it sounds. I don't know how good this microphone in this camera is going to pick up the sound, but it sounds pretty nice. Well, anyway, that's Monster. It's a piece of shit, but I drive it every day and I love driving it. At the end of this video, I'll leave blueprints of my design. Pretty universal. You could change it around a little bit to adapt to different vehicles, but you can make it out of different materials too. So rate the video, comment, subscribe. Thanks. Thanks to man. Bye.